guys, welcome back to my channel. And if you're watching this, you're probably either almost done with nursing school, you are done with nursing school, or you're just like someone like me that like binge watches videos and just kind of wants to like know what it's like when you get to this part, but you probably like just started nursing school. It's okay, all of y'all are welcome. Welcome. If you haven't done so already, make sure to pull up a chair, join the Graceful Fam. Okay, give this video a thumbs up and comment down below. I've missed you guys so much, but let's get into the video. So you're done with nursing school. Now what? If you want to know what's next, please stay tuned for this video, and while we're at it, let's get into it. Okay, so first things first, I finished nursing school January 2021. I ended up taking 2 months to study, and I took my NCLEX March 2nd or 4th, March 2nd of 2021. I got hired the next week, and I started working March 29th of 2021. So that has been my kind of beginning journey. Having an externship can be helpful, but keep in mind, like, I didn't have one all throughout my nursing school. Like, I didn't really work. Like, I didn't have like a medical job. Most people like, oh, do I need to be a CNA or nurse's assistant or a tech or anything? You can still get a job without doing any of those things during school. I wanted to focus on school, get good grades, and finish. Nursing school is so stressful anyway that I just wanted to focus on that and get done. Once I was officially done, took my last final, did my last project, then I applied. So at that point, I was already done. When I started my externship, I was just studying for my NCLEX. So like I said, while studying for my NCLEX, I was working in the externship in the ED. While you are doing an externship, it's so important to make those connections and, bump shoulders with people that you feel like could be beneficial to you in the long run. But either way, that's pretty much my story. And that's how I got my job, or I would like to think, obviously, that's how I got my job so quickly and was able to start working immediately after passing the NCLEX. But regardless of that, if roles were reversed or just different for me, I personally do feel like taking a break. I'm all about work-life balance and being realistic. If nursing school drained you, this is like my first tip. If nursing school has drained you to the point where you finish nursing school and you just feel like, oh, like you felt like you crawled to the finish line. I know I felt like, oh my gosh, like I am finally done. I need my brain to rest. I suggest taking at least 2 weeks or so, however long you need, whether it's going on vacation, whether it's just sitting at home to watch Netflix or watch all the shows you couldn't, just being free, going to the mall, not feeling guilty about not studying, going to events and not feeling guilty like, oh my gosh, I have an exam tomorrow. Like, just enjoying your life for a little bit, because once you start your nursing life, that's going to be another transition. And this is kind of that in-between moment where you're looking for a job, but you still kind of have that that grace period, that freedom. For some people, you may not, you may just need to like start working. And I understand that, but I'm just kind of saying, give yourself just a little like woosah moment, because since nursing school started, your brain's been on go. And once you start working, your brain's going to be on go, because keep in mind, nursing, you're always learning, you're always growing. And once you start this job, you're going to be learning a lot more. So if you need that break, I just suggest take that pause, take that moment. You earned it. So after taking and passing your NCLEX, which I know you will, because if you're watching this, you are just a great student and I know you passed. But regardless, like after passing your NCLEX, and if you want to see like my NCLEX videos of the day I recorded, the day of me taking the NCLEX and finding out my results, I recorded how I passed in 75 questions and the things that I did. So if you haven't watched those, check those out. I will link them here and down below for you guys. But either way, after you pass your NCLEX, I get a lot of questions like, did you start applying for jobs before or after taking the NCLEX? And I get that question a lot, but again, I think it's dependent on you. For me, I did not start applying until after I passed. I know, and I have a lot of friends that did start applying prior to passing. Maybe they did get hired and maybe they didn't. But for me, I don't know if this is the right thing, but what I did was I waited until I passed my NCLEX and then I started applying. But just because I had an externship in the emergency room, keep in mind, I wasn't sure if that's where I wanted to work. That's just where I was externing, but it doesn't mean that I wasn't also applying to different places, which I was. So after that, I was like, okay, I passed the NCLEX. It's about to get real. So, you know, my resume was already been reviewed through NYU, and I had my professors review them and stuff, but I updated it, you know, saying, you know, that BSN at the top. Felt really good changing that. And then BSN RN, and you know, updating that, and then started my journey. But I think that personally, like, I just waited until after. I wanted that confirmation that I passed. Some places will hire you under the condition that you pass, but I didn't want that anxiety. Like, okay, yeah, I get hired, and under the condition you pass on the first time. And what if you don't pass on the first time? And that's okay. But I just felt like, let me just make sure I pass, child. Like, I don't need that stress. Like, so that's what I did. But just because I didn't start applying doesn't mean that I didn't also look on Indeed and start looking. I do feel like you should be looking. You should be looking on Indeed, looking what positions are even open in your area, looking at what are some of the qualifications that they're looking for. Is there a GPA requirement? Is there a residency program that you're looking into? You should still be being nosy, if that makes sense. Just because you're not applying yet, you should still be like, okay, well, this hospital is hiring for these units and this hospital is hiring for these units, so that when you are ready, you already just know where and what they're looking for. My suggestion to you, if you are in nursing school or just finishing, even if you're just starting, even better, but I always told you guys in my other videos, you should be always keeping in contact with whether your professors, your clinical instructors, your peers, because you're going to need them as references. And like I said, if you are someone that, I always said, like, if you're a shy person and you just, you know, never said anything or whatever, that could have been fine. You passed, and that's fine. I'm naturally a shy person in person, but when it comes time for them references, though, are they going to remember you? Are they going to remember what to say about you? Were you that student that was always on time, or this and that? So for the job that I have, I needed 5 references. That's a lot. Like, that's a lot. And nurses, this job, I feel like, whether you're becoming like a doctor, a nurse, anything in the medical field, I feel like it's important to have references, because you're dealing with patients and real people, and they need to make sure that you are like a stand-up person. So I needed 5 references. I needed 2 peers. Like, one was okay to be maybe just like extra, but I think for the most part it was like professor, clinical instructor, supervisor, 2 peers. Like, it was like a lot, so I had to keep on track on everybody, and that was for like each application. So that's a lot to ask of people. So you want to make sure to be in contact with those people throughout the program, or already have in mind, like, oh, by the way, when I start applying, because I remember my clinical instructor my last semester, I told her, I said, okay, you saying all this about me now, but don't forget, because when I email you 3 months from now or 4 months from now, don't forget about me, because I'm gonna need a reference. And she laughed. She's like, no, I won't. So when I emailed her right up, I said, please, I need this, she got right back to me. So yeah, my next bit of advice for you guys, I really want you guys to like take it, put it in your pocket, save it. And it's really to just really do not sell yourself short. Like, don't sell yourself short. Yes, you are new, but that does not mean you are desperate. Yes, we may be desperate for money, because your girl was, I need the bills paid, but I don't mean like desperate for that. Like, obviously we all need income and we all need to get that going, but don't sell yourself short and just take anything without being prepared and reading things with a fine-tooth comb. Don't sign your life away to a 2-year contract and you didn't really read what that meant and what that entailed. Make sure that you are realizing that at the end of the day, you are the prize. Like, yeah, you're new, but you're still an asset. And a lot of new grads, including myself, will come and feel like, oh, you know, I wouldn't say I ever thought of myself as small, because I knew no matter what, like, if I have something to say, like, or if I have a question, one thing I'm gonna do is ask a question. I'm very confident of what I know, but I'm even more confident of what I don't know. And when I don't know something, I'm gonna open my mouth and I'm gonna be like, excuse me, what? Kind of thing. But yeah, don't sell yourself short. Ask those questions. Be sure to not just be so desperate for any job that you like just hop onto anything. Like, that's the beauty with nursing though. Like, there's so many different things that you can do, and you can do anything for 6 months. Like, I remember having so many conversations with my instructor and people wanting their like their dream job or their dream unit, and sometimes they don't get it at first. And my clinical instructor, she's like, her first job, she didn't like it, she hated it, and she's like, but it's okay because she learned a lot from that job and she stayed there for 6 months and then she moved on to the next. That's why nursing is so beautiful, because there's so many things that you can do and learn regardless if you like it or not. But just make sure that you understand what you are getting yourself into and don't sell yourself short. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. If you're interviewing for one, make sure at least interview for like 2 or 3. Weigh your options. What is this paying? What is this salary? Know your worth, like, because you're worth a lot, especially in this pandemic. You can see how important nurses are, period. Okay. Now, on the other hand, I will say, like, to piggyback off of that is to, even though you may not land your dream job, and it's okay, like your first nursing job is kind of like your first car. It may not be your dream car. It may not be like, you know, what you wanted, but it's reliable. It gets you to where you need to go. It teaches you the foundations of driving, or like foundations of nursing. That's kind of how I feel with certain people and the stories that they tell me. But also, don't be afraid to go after that ICU job, that ER job, that critical care job, that labor and delivery job, that whatever it is that you want to work in. Don't be scared to go after that peds, that whatever, because now is a time where I feel like people are transitioning. There was a time where it's like a hire freeze because of COVID, and then now a lot of people have left, move on, become NPs or whatever. So doors may be open a little bit wider than what you think. Never in a million years. Like, if this was regular times before COVID, it would have been very difficult for me to even fight my way into like a ER ICU. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen, because it does. Like I said, when you bump shoulders with the right people, you can get to where you need to go. But what I mean is that there's just a lot more opportunities. Me and the ER, I'm not the only new grad hired there. There's a few of which are from NYU, new grads, which makes me feel like, wow. So there is at least, I would say like 5 in my department alone, in the ED, like 5 like new grads that they hired, and that's just from NYU. They hired a whole bunch. So it's kind of like, no, you can get that job. And honestly, a lot of units, if you know you want to be an ICU nurse and that's all you want to do, and you know you want it, and go after it. Why not? Because if that's what you want to do, they know that you're going to stay there, and then they can mold you from there as a new nurse, and that's even more experience. You're getting thrown into the fire early, so it's only going to go up from there, if that makes sense. So don't be afraid to go after it. Someone like me never saw myself in the ER, because those are kind of like, they only take people with like experience and all this stuff like that. So with that being said, if I can do it, you can do it. If the ER is your dream, go after it. ICU is your dream, go after it. Labor and delivery is your dream, go after it. Go after it, go after it, go after it. I can't say that enough. Do it, go after it. And if you don't get it, that's okay, because after you go and do that 1 year in med surg, you don't have to do med surg. That's how I feel. You don't have to do med surg to do something else. What I'm saying is, if you don't get that position at first, that's okay. Build your skill, gain your experience, build up your resume. You probably be even worth more now if you want to go into peds and you didn't get it at first. Okay, now you build up your skill in this and that, and now when you go to apply for peds, you can even be more competitive with your salary. Like, well, I have experience now, so pay me this. So I don't know. And like, another thing about, like, a lot of people like, well, you know, you going into ER, shouldn't you have gotten med surg experience? Or, well, shouldn't you have gotten your feet wet a little bit first than getting thrown into it? I'll be honest with you, like, getting thrown into it is rocky. It is, it's hard. But I'm still going through it, but I'm looking back, like, I am so grateful for it. I've seen a lot of things that I feel like I would have never seen in a year or so of being in a unit where, like, they are so well-rounded that I feel like I'm seeing a lot. I'm seeing so much. So I'm seeing the worst of the worst, the best of the best, and just seeing a lot, especially at a level 1 trauma center. I'm just getting a lot and absorbing a lot that I feel like it's just making me a lot more well-rounded than trying to go the traditional route, which some people told me, like, you don't have to do med surg. Even like at NYU, they would say that, like, you don't have to. Some people think you should, some people think you shouldn't. But I have a lot of nurses that in the ER that been there 10, 15 years. And they're like, well, I started here, so I was a new grad here, so that's not true, you know, kind of thing. And people, I have friends that started Like literally, I got hired in the ER, they got hired in the ICU or step down. Like it happens, and that's why I feel like get that concept out of your mind if you think you need med surg before something else. And if you want to do med surg, if you don't want to do med surg but you got something else, that's okay. Like med surg, you learn a lot of skills in med surg, and med surg is not a game. Like when all of my patients are stable and I have 5-6 med surg patients, I'm sweating, like I'm put to work. So yeah, like every specialty, every unit should be well respected, and you learn a lot from everywhere. My main point of this video is just to also realize like you are the prize. Like you are the prize. Like believe it or not, there's a lot of staff shortages going on, especially after COVID or during COVID. Now there's a new variant, Omicron or Omarion for those that know. But anyways, I feel like there's this like, oh, like a new grad, you're maybe not as needed or you're not as relevant as like a more experienced nurse. No, honey, just because you're new doesn't mean you're incompetent. Just because you're new doesn't mean that you're an idiot. Like it just means you're new. And it would be the same way as an experienced nurse newly getting hired to a new unit. She doesn't know anything just as much as you do as far as getting acclimated to the unit. But it's just a matter of like, know your worth, because nurses are needed everywhere and they need you. And bedside nurses are leaving like hotcakes off the griddle, and they need you to refill that position. So keep your options open. Like interview with multiple places, weigh your options, choose the best one, make sure it's a right fit for you, make sure you can see yourself staying there at least 6 months to a year. Or if you can see yourself saying like, this is my dream hospital and I want to stay here forever, then go after that. But just make sure like, you know, you are the prize. Like they need you, you know what I'm saying? So don't doubt yourself. Don't feel like, okay, I'll just take whatever. No, if you still as a new grad nurse have room to negotiate your contracts or your salary or whatever. Like, yeah, you're, like I said, you're new, but you're not incompetent. You're still needed and you're still an asset. And that's something that like wise nurses have told me, and I'm absorbing it and I want to pass it on to you guys. I am appreciative of what nursing school has taught me, but also realize that nursing school and work, real life work as a nurse is like completely different, night and day. So I would say nursing is the same. So what they're teaching you is true. The foundation is true. But when you get into that real nurse life, it is a culture shock. It really is. And I feel like that's with any career or any job. Like, unless you do it yourself and you really have that safety net removed from under you and it's just you, your license, and these patients, you know, I almost cursed about to say stuff gets real. So yeah, you just really want to make sure like you're on top of your stuff, but you're realizing that you can just do the best that you can. All that to say, I hope you guys are enjoying this video, enjoying some of the tips. Anything that you guys want to hear from me or see from me, please make sure to put that down below. I definitely want to incorporate some night shift vlogs, some night shift essentials. I have gotten a lot of questions about how I'm surviving night shift, and I wanted to have some months go by so I could really feel acclimated to like night shift and feel like I have something to say. Definitely have found my routine and I'm getting the hang of things, so I'll be able to do a video for you guys soon. But definitely comment down below what you want to see from me. I am excited to be back and to see my Graceful fam. I'm so grateful for you guys. And like I said before, make sure you pull up a chair, subscribe, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're going to do anything, no matter how hard, no matter if you're doubting yourself that day, no matter if you want to go off on somebody, no matter if this Omicron variant is stressing you out, no matter what, make sure you do all things gracefully. And I'll see you in my next one. Bye.